So today's job is going to be a repair job. Here's a little BMW 240i that we coated almost a year ago, but it was in an accident, and now we need to repolish and recoat sections of it. So what are we going to do about that? So we're going to show you our wash process, and then we're going to show you which portions need to be repolished and recoated. And if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss stuff. And if you're interested in any of the products or the tools that you see along the way, check the links down below. If you don't see something in those links there, then just ask or comment and I'll share those links with you. And don't forget to go to Car Supplies Warehouse and enter code Miranda10. You'll get 10% pretty much off of anything there. So as we look around, it is pretty dirty. Gross. Now the portions that were repainted were the front area, so I think maybe starting from this fender here, we'll examine the paint, we'll see what it needs. Even if we have to recoat over those portions or just recoat the whole thing, that's probably what we'll do. So for our wash today, we're going to use Koch Chemie Super Foam. This is a high alkaline, strong cleaning shampoo. You can use it as a pre-wash. It's very strong for that. We're going to use it as our cleaning shampoo because I really want to clean and strip anything that maybe the BodyShop put on there when they repainted those panels. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I don't rely on the shampoo to strip everything. That's really not why I do that. Oops, drop that. But this is going to add to the cleaning power, so that's why I'm using it. So you kind of choose what you need to do for each job. You can use a pH neutral shampoo if you want. You can use a stronger high alkaline. You can use even a low pH for water spots, which this does have some water spots, but it's superficial because we had some rain and it just hasn't been washed. So we are going to apply the APC dry because it's cool, and even though we're in the direct sun, it's not really hot right now, so it's okay to do this. But again, you determine what you need to do. Don't just copy what we're doing here, kind of use common sense. And if the paint is hot to the touch, this just came out of the garage, so it's nice and cool. And of course, you know, don't do that, just rinse it first. So only allow this to dwell for maybe 30-60 seconds. It doesn't take long. And if you're concerned about some of the overspray in the top panels, then do this. Just wet it a little bit. It'll start running. It's okay. You can see it working on the tires here. It's starting to turn brown and dissolve some of that gunk on the tires. And that's what it's doing on the paint as well. You just may not be able to see it that clearly. So I am going to rinse this hood a little bit. And you can spray the whole hood because that's the section that was repainted too. There we go. Now we have Super Clean diluted 1 to 10 in the IK foamer. So I'm loving this MJJC foam cannon. The quality of it is really good. The only issue I'm having is right here, it keeps leaking. Now I think I just have to put some Teflon tape there, which is kind of unusual for this. It should seal itself, or the seal might be broken in there. I might have to take it apart, but it's new. So I don't know, might be a weird little flaw in it, but I did notice it leaking here and it comes loose often. So I'll just Teflon tape and it should be good, but just something to note. Okay, so I just took it apart and look, the seal is broken. So I have a bunch of these seals. I bought a whole pack of them. In fact, I'll show you the kit that I got. That's all that needs to be done, just replace the seal. So it's of no fault of them, it's just sometimes the seals break, and that's just what happens. So that'll be a quick fix. Fix that, we're good to go. Good. Yeah, it feels really nice and smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not feeling anything.
Good. Now you may be thinking, why did I use such a strong soap and pre-wash the entire thing, even though we're just going to be coating these sections? Well, because I've decided to coat the whole thing. I'm noticing that the sections in the back aren't performing that well. But remember guys, this went to a body shop. I have no idea what those guys did. I don't know what they washed it with. I don't know if they wiped down the entire car. Who knows? So, in this instance, I'm going to repolish and recoat the whole car. It's an insurance job, so the insurance is paying for it for the owner, so I'm not really too concerned about it. It's still going to be pretty easy, which is good because I've already coated this once before. It doesn't need heavy polishing. So now with everything washed, we're going to apply a little bit of extra protection on the wheels. These were coated already, but I'm using Suds Lab Ceramic Hydrocoat. It's a spray-on, rinse-off ceramic sealant. Really nice stuff. It adds instant protection and instant beading. And that's what we want. It's great to top off ceramic coatings. In fact, if this was just a maintenance wash, we could just use this on the entire vehicle. So just one tip is when you spray this, don't immediately rinse off. I spray it on, let it dwell for literally like 5 to 10 seconds, just to give it time to bite. Then you rinse it off. I've noticed we get better results when we do that. So it's now washed and dried, and as you can see, the water spots, the water spots weren't really hard or anything. They were just superficial, so they came out. Just a little bit of swirling. So we'll take care of that, and then we'll coat the entire car. It feels smooth, which is good. We did notice something messed up over here. Wow. Look at those scratches. Yeah, that wasn't there before, not that I remember. But at least it's clean, it's smooth, it's ready to polish. What we're gonna do is knock out the interior. Oh, it's really windy out. We're gonna knock out the interior. Basically, we're just doing a maintenance interior cleaning here, so nothing too dramatic, but we are gonna clean up all the seats, wipe them down, condition them, same with all the plastics, and we'll be good to go on the interior. So for the interior, after everything has been vacuumed and wiped down and brushed, then I'm going to use this stuff. So I've been using this stuff for my maintenance. It's from Suds Lab, their interior car detailer. So it's a light cleaner, but it leaves behind UV protection, kind of conditions, no shininess, no greasiness. It's a completely natural matte finish. So for maintenance details, this stuff is really, really nice. I'm enjoying using it. It's one of my go-to products right now for interior maintenance, not deep cleaning. Maintenance. So all I do is spray it onto the towel. You can spray it onto the surface too, but this is a better way of controlling it. And you can wipe down all your surfaces, including any of the touch points because it will clean them, but it doesn't leave any type of greasiness or slipperiness on those areas. So it's completely safe to use on those types of areas, even your steering wheel. Totally fine. It's not going to cause any issues. And if you get any in the little cracks and crevices of the vehicle, the interior, like I am here, then just use a little brush to get out some of the residual out of those little crevices. Not a big deal. Now for some brushes, I'm using the Work Stuff brushes. You see they're longer bristles. If you want to customize your brushes, you totally could. You can actually shorten these bristles, and it limits the splay that it does here. And then you can get into these little cracks a little bit better. But you can do whatever you want, or you can just, go like this to the brush to get into these areas and make sure to clean them out. So either way, I don't like to cut my brushes. You can if you want, but just doing this will shorten the bristles and make it a little better to get into these areas. So now with the Beamer pulled in, let's examine the paint a little bit better. And as we can see, yeah, your typical wash, marring, and swirls. So we're going to correct that, make it look much better. Correct these scratches over here that are new. That wasn't there before. So we're going to polish the whole vehicle again. It's not going to be as extensive. These areas may be a little bit more extensive. The back areas that were not repainted, probably not as bad, but nonetheless, we're going to polish it using the Dr. Beasley's NSP polishes. Oh, you're going to choose that one for the scratches. Okay, so that's the heavier one. And then the 150 is heavy, the 95 is medium, the 45 is their fine. So we can start with, I might just start with their medium with the Orange Lake Country pad. We'll go from there, see what it needs. And we're going to coat it today with Vonnex V Paint. This is their 2-year coating. We have just a little 30 ml bottle here. Is this 30 ml or is it less? Oh, this is actually a 20 ml. Okay. I don't know if this would probably be enough to do an entire larger vehicle. It should be fine to do a small vehicle like this. I usually prefer at least 30 or 50 ml bottles because I can get multiple vehicles out of that one. We can work with a 20 ml bottle. That should be fine. All right, that did an awesome job at removing that scratch. All right, so here is our method. We tried a few options. We tried the NSP 45, I tried the 95, and those were okay. They seemed to not quite cut all the defects that we wanted. So we bumped it up to 150. Still with the orange pad. We're just blowing out the orange pad with air. Not in the wash bucket this time because I don't want to wash out the NSP polish in there. I just want to blow it out gently, or you can use a brush, whichever method you want. But look at the hood now, much better. You still have a little bit of defects, but remember, we're not going full paint correction. This is paint enhancement and recoating. So we're not going for perfection. Got a lot of defects in the paint anyway, and the owner is not looking for perfection, but this is cutting it. This is looking really, really good. Now the NSP 150 is what they consider their heavy cut. It's like their compound. It's a little bit more liquidy than the other two, but it finishes really well and it wipes off really easy. We'll see if we get a little bit of that residue hazing that kind of comes back, but to actually reduce that, you could just use a spritz of water. Not a dampness, not necessarily like a wet towel, but just a spritz of water on your towel to wipe it. It's not going to interfere with anything. It's not going to ruin anything. It just aids with wiping off. The stuff bonds to the paint almost immediately as you're polishing and kind of melts into the paint and primes it ready for the coating. We're working our way around the vehicle. Let's continue with this method. It's working extremely well. So the windshield has been polished. I used the P&S Clarity Cream and a microfiber disc. Removed anything that was on the glass previously because I think we did put a coating on there, but I want a fresh application. So what we're going to use is G-Technics G5. And this is kind of an unorthodox way of applying it, but I found it works really well for us, as I'm just using my little Flex PX E80 with a black soft pad, and I'm applying it kind of like I'm polishing the glass with it. Not pressure or for long periods of time, just applying it, like applying a wax or a sealant onto paint basically. And a little goes a long way, so I'm just doing a tiny drizzle here on the pad. That's about it for maybe half the glass, and this works really well. That applies it extremely thin, so the wipe off is going to be much easier. So now it's time to coat the paint. Let's get everything ready. So here's the tip. I just cracked open the brand new bottle, and this will happen if you use half the bottle or whatever. Also, clean the top of the bottle. You're going to have little shards of coating that will cure around the top of the bottle here. If you get any of those shards into your towel or your applicator, that will definitely leave a nice little scratch mark in your paint. So I actually have these little micro suedes. I don't like to use micro suedes for coating application, so I save them and I use them for wiping down the bottles like so. You can give it a little blast of air if you want also, or even use one of these tools and get inside this area. Look, I can actually pick out all the little glass shards. All the little ceramic shards. That's basically what it is little particles of glass. So you want all that out. See that? Isn't that crazy? You want all that out. That's just basically from the coating, you know, leaking out of the little tip here and going into the bottle itself. It's not a huge deal. That happens with every single coating. And if you don't like that, if you don't like these tips, you can completely remove it and just use a little pipette and you'll be fine. Because sometimes it's just too much of a buildup around here. This is actually a really bad buildup. It's of no fault of anyone. It's just what happens to the coating sometimes, to the little tips. Now for my towels, I like to use the Kirkland yellow towels. The GSM on these is around 350 plus. They are perfectly plush enough and safe for your paint. I know some people don't like them, but I think it's because they had a bad experience with them, because sometimes the quality control on certain microfibers will be bad and you'll get a bad batch and they'll be super crunchy. These are totally fine to use on paint. I've been using these for years with absolutely no issues. So don't be scared to use these. Don't listen to just people who say they don't like these or that they scratch, because that's not 100% true. Try it for yourself first. And if you get a bad batch that feel crunchy, it's just a bad batch. It's not all the towels. Return it, get a new batch, test them out. So just check the packaging. So what I decided to do is actually remove that little cap. There was still a lot of little particles in there that I really wasn't happy with. Sometimes it just happens with those little drippers. So I ripped the dripper off and I'm using these little pipettes. These are super cheap little pipettes. I'll have a link down below, and that's what I'm using. So much easier. So let me show you the application of this stuff. Application is very straightforward and easy. I'm gonna box out a large area here, about a big quarter section of the hood. It's probably a little beyond that, but that's okay. Most important part is to just know where you coated when you move on to the next section. So this application is very smooth, and you can actually have a lot of time with this as well that I found. It's not a separating coating, it's more of a rainbower type of coating, but I've learned to actually let this sit for maybe about a minute, maybe even 2 minutes. There's kind of a sweet spot in between that minute to 2 minute area that it wipes off really, really easily. The most important thing when you're applying coatings is to just keep an eye on it. There's not necessarily a specific time frame. It depends on the temperatures. If it's hotter, it's going to flash quicker. If it's cooler, like it actually is today in here, slightly cooler and drier, it'll take a little bit longer to flash. but it's okay. Keep an eye on it. And when you start to see it do its rainbow thing, or if you start to see it kind of dry up in areas, that's the flashing part of it, is basically it kind of flashing off, then it's ready to wipe. And I'll show you that when this is ready. So basically you can see how the paint is wet with the coating. You see it right there. And you can see where it goes off into the panel that I haven't coated yet. You see the difference. It basically just looks like water is on the paint or something. So we're going to give that a little bit more time to flash off. And that's why I did a bigger section. You don't have to work in such tiny sections that it takes you a ton of time to coat a vehicle. I can actually do big sections here. And once you get comfortable with the coating, you will too. Instead of just doing a tiny little box here, you can do a quarter of the hood, or I'll probably on that side do the entire half of the hood because I'm comfortable with the coating and I know how it reacts. When you start using ceramic coatings, different types of ceramic coatings, you'll know if it's a rainbowing type of coating, if it flashes and does those little thin beading lines. Every coating is going to have its certain attribute, but it's usually, 2 to 3 different types of flashing that it does. Indicators, basically, to show you when it's ready to wipe off. Kind of hard to see here. I'm not seeing quite the rainbowing effect that I want to see. So basically, I'm just giving it plenty of time to bond to the paint, and then we'll wipe it off. So don't be too concerned if you're not seeing it flash properly, if you're not seeing it rainbow, and you're like, when do I wipe it off? I don't know. It's okay. At the most, 2 minutes tops, but within that 1 to 2 minutes. It's not going to be so dramatic that you're going to see that perfect indicator. Not all coatings give you that perfect indicator. Just keep an eye on it, and if it's been past 2 minutes, you're okay. You can wipe it off even if you don't see it reacting. It's totally fine. After 2 minutes, the coating has had plenty of time to bond. So I'm thinking it is about that time to wipe it off. Again, not a ton of indicators to let you know here, but it's been almost 2 minutes now. So I'm going to wipe it off, and the wipe off is very, very easy. I still am using my 2-towel method, and I'm just going in nice circular motions. And this will get the majority of it, and I'll just go back and just do big sweeping motion. This gets the majority of the residue. Now I'm going back in with my final wipe towel and catching the rest. And you'll see that it kind of does a smearing thing, and then it goes away, and then it flashes away, nice and clear. The most important part to applying a ceramic coating is good lighting. If you don't have good lighting, it is going to be a challenge, and you're going to have high spots in certain areas because you didn't wipe off completely. I'm going back over it gently. I actually flip the towel. I'm just checking with my lights, and I'll see that it has like a smear, and then it flashes right away, crystal clear. It looks awesome. Make sure to go onto adjacent panels like here and check with your lights, especially around these corners. Up in these corners can be kind of difficult to see, so make sure to check all these areas first before moving on. That way you don't have any high spots. Now the pad has already been primed. This is about how much coating I'm putting on for each little section. I'm not overloading the pad. There's no reason for that. I don't care what anyone says. Absolutely no reason to overload the pad with so much coating that it's just saturating it. You're wasting a ton. There's no need for that. So I apply just what is needed. And it's okay to overlap. I know I went about here and I'm overlapping like a good 8 inches or so. Totally fine. It's okay. It's actually better to do that in overlap sections. You're still going to end up with the same amount of coating that's bonding to the paint. This is going to wipe off and it's going to be fine. It's not adding more coating in like a weird strip or a big thick line. It's not how it works. It's not doing that. So I've given this about 2 minutes. Let's now remove the residue. And again, it's very easy to remove. First wipe, and then second wipe. I have plenty of lights on it here from my ceiling lights. that I can go through and wipe this without worrying about anything. Actually, I will use the light to check down here. Check all these little areas down here. And as far as how the coating feels when you're wiping it off, it's not an extremely slick coating, but it is smooth. It's not necessarily grabby, but it is a smooth coating. But don't expect super, super slick. It's just not the type of coating that does that. Not a bad thing at all. Plenty of other coatings that are out there that are extremely durable, really hydrophobic, that don't necessarily have the hyper slickness to them. As long as it performs, it has the durability range that you're looking for or your customers are looking for, that's what matters. Remember, every ceramic coating is going to have its certain attributes to application and wipe off. And sometimes it feels like it's not slick. Give it 24 hours to cure, and now it's slick. Sometimes. I'm not sure about this coating. We'll see in 24 hours. So the paint is now completely coated and I've allowed the windshield to completely cure. And you see that it creates this weird, like, little patchiness and hazing and stuff. It's okay, it's normal. Here's how I remove it. I just use a clean towel and a mist of water. A tiny bit of water is enough to break through that residue and leave a nice, clean, slick, coated surface. The thinner you go, the better. That's probably just a little bit of heavy application. It's not a problem. So you see that patchiness? Damp towel, a little bit of water, goes away, and it doesn't affect the coating at all on the glass. There we go. Looking good.